Hi, loves, and welcome back. Have you ever been on the other side of feeling like a spell has been broken that you didn't necessarily know you were under? If so, this is for you. Let's talk about spells. Not the mystical kind, the human kind. The kind you really only recognize in hindsight. When your soul finally whispers, "This was never yours." Spells aren't dramatic. They're subtle. They're soothing. They sound like resonance. Until one day, they sound like a cage. People imagine spells as manipulation. But the truth is simpler. Spells aren't cast with magic. They're cast with unmet needs. I didn't wake up because something traumatic happened. I woke up because my soul finally got too loud to ignore. It wasn't mind control. It was resonance misinterpreted as obligation. It wasn't truth. It was charisma performing as wisdom. It wasn't reflection. It was projection wearing my face. It wasn't belonging. It was the version of me I had to amputate to fit in. It wasn't empowerment. It was validation, dressed up as insight. This is how spells work. They feel like home until you realize you're living in someone else's house. The hardest, most painful part wasn't realizing that I was under a spell. It was realizing how fucking familiar it felt. Spells don't prey on ignorance. They enter through longing. Longing to be seen, longing to be understood, longing to be valued, longing to be held in a way life never offered you. Longing for someone to finally mirror the greatness you can feel, but haven't fully claimed. See, those aren't weaknesses. They're doorways. It's not that I was naive. It's that I was lonely in a way that only truth could cure. My longing wasn't the problem. The problem was giving someone else the power to answer it. My mind was enchanted, but my body was immune. My shoulder tightening, my breath shortening, my posture bracing, my intuition whispering from beneath the noise. That subtle discomfort I kept explaining away to myself, because accepting it would mean losing the illusion I had invested in. The body refuses to participate in what the soul has already outgrown. The body refuses to participate in what your soul has already outgrown. My body told the truth long before I was brave enough to hear it. And I know you've probably heard me say that multiple times if you've listened to more than one of my podcasts. And that is because it has been a very relevant theme in my life. The snap, the moment of clarity. Spellbreaking doesn't feel like rebellion. It feels like remembering. It feels like coming home. There's a moment, quiet, clean, devastating, when the illusion dissolves, not because someone exposes it, but because you finally do. When the spell snapped, I didn't feel angry at the false mirror. I felt relieved to finally feel myself the way I always needed to. Spells don't just happen once. See, they echo. Because, what we resist persists. The thing about that is, when you don't know that you're resisting something, sometimes you keep stepping back into the things that you don't want to step into. You escape one version of the illusion and unconsciously walk straight into another. Different face, different tone, different promises, same pattern. because the spell was never the person. It was the unmet need you kept outsourcing. You don't break a spell when you leave it. You break it when you finally recognize that you've lived the same illusion more than once. And suddenly, your past lines up. The friend who fed on your openness, the leader who claimed to have your answers, the mentor you pedestaled, the partner who needed your self-abandonment to feel powerful. All of them were the same spell, expressed through different projections. And then the real shift happens. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. And the dissolution moves fast. Like your soul has been holding the door open, waiting for you to finally fucking walk through. This is why everything snapped into place for me so quickly. It wasn't sudden. It was cumulative. It was every ignored whisper, finally converging into a truth I couldn't walk past. I didn't just break the spell. I broke the version of me that kept reenacting the same spell in different fucking clothing. And when the spell dissolves and that grief floods in, grief for the parts of yourself you abandoned, grief for the red flags you repainted, grief for the intuition you fucking ignored time and time again, grief for the woman you silenced to be chosen, grief for the pedestal you built for someone who was never meant to stand on it. Then comes the shame, the disgust, the humiliation, the self-blame, the how didn't I see it spiral. When the spell breaks, the pain isn't about them. It's about remembering how long you betrayed yourself to keep the illusion alive. I wasn't grieving them. I was grieving the version of me who thought that she needed them in the first place. This is the redemption arc. It wasn't stupid. It wasn't weak. I wasn't naive. I was under-resourced, underheld, underseen, underloved, and spells thrive in scarcity. My longing for belonging made me vulnerable to illusion. But my sovereignty made me immune to staying. So again, I wasn't wrong. I was just finally ready to stop abandoning myself once and for all. When the spell dissolves, all that remains is you. Your intuition, your clarity, your boundaries, your voice, your authority, your center. You don't just wake up. You resurrect. Spells don't break you. They break everything you were never meant to be. Spell breaking didn't change who I am. It revealed who I've always been. So to the ones listening, if something in your life is dissolving, trust it. Trust the grief you feel. Trust the clarity. Trust your whisper in your gut. I'm going to stop there for 1 second because I want to talk about gut, okay? When I say trust your whisper, I'm usually referring to your gut. I like to think of it this way. We have 3 brains. We have our actual brain, we have our heart, and we have our gut. And of the 3 of those brains, there is only one that tells the truth, the actual truth, your absolute truth. There's only one of those 3 brains. And it is always your gut. And here's the tricky part. The brain and the heart, well, they're loud and they're relentless. But the gut, they only tell you once. And it's a whisper. So every time you ignore that whisper, it builds. So trust the ache, trust the remembering, Spells don't end when you wake up. They end when you come home to yourself. And thank Goddess, I'm finally home. If you resonate and want more, please feel free to follow along, but only if you feel it from your own sovereignty. Until next time, I love you.